We want to start off by discussing some of the issues. I'm going to introduce our panel here. To the far left, I have Mr. Peter Burks. He's a motivational speaker as well as a former Gramblinite, and where he graduated with a master's in mass communication and also a former quarterback coach. Mr. Peter Burks. Dr. A.C. Harris, a chiropractic here in Monroe, and he graduated from the University of Dillard. Dr. Harris. And next to him, we have Dr. McKinley, the executive assistant to the president, and he's also always willing to help out here on the campus of Grambling State University. Dr. McKinley. And lastly, we have our student panel. His name is Melvin Harris, and he's also a biochemistry major and a senior. Dr. All right, we want to start off opening the floor with the main question with the panel. We could just go in a row here, starting with Mr. Peter Burks. What do you feel black men can do to be more productive in today's society?
I arrived here from the University of Arkansas back in spring of 1997, and I was very, very careful to make sure that I put God first in basically all that I've done as a student and as an athlete. So I strongly recommend that most black men basically just be able to talk to one another and listen to one another, and just mainly just focus on everything that we have to do as a black male species.
I definitely think education is the key. Also, we need to have a sense of self-worth. We need to stand up. As a black man, if you're educated, that's a powerful thing, man. We're scared of each other. Of course, they're scared of an educated black man, and we need to, like I said, just stand up and have our self-worth. Back in the days, you had the freedom fighters, you had the Black Panthers, you had the marches. We had a purpose. A lot of people now, man, unfortunately, are just walking around without a purpose, just going through life. And I think it starts at the home, definitely. I had a strong foundation, and I know this young man right here from you too, and I actually looked up to him. I still do to this day. So definitely we need to have a self-worth, stand up, walk tall, and be proud of who you are. It starts with the foundation, education, spiritually, and things like that. Take pride in your community too. That's the main thing.
Well, I'd have to agree with our two previous speakers. I would just add also that education obviously is key to your success. We also have to have respect for ourselves as individual men, respect for each other, and more importantly, respect for our females, because without them we cannot create the next generation. I would encourage all men in general, African American among them, to watch what they say, to clean up their language, and to be respectful to each other and try to reach consensus in resolving our differences as opposed to through violent means.
Education is certainly key, and I certainly agree with that. And me being a minister and a preacher, a young preacher, 22 years old, certainly always keep God first. That's the effort. That's the only way that I can really tell people that they can move on and be successful. Also agreeing with Dr. McKinley, project yourself in a positive light and be respectful and respectable. But also I encourage people to be open to learning new things, open to learning different experiences, and just be open to experiencing different things. Don't just be so closed-minded, because coming to college and education is really here to open our minds so that we could see the world in a better perspective. And once you're able to see the world from a different perspective and from different angles, you will be able to be successful.
Okay, our next question. A lot of older adults, media, just people in general kind of have issues with the way the young men dress and the type of attire that they choose to wear. Do you all feel that the type of clothing that you wear puts a type of stigma on the young men?
Yes, the SAG look started in prisons, but it was also because young men who went to prison, they had to give up their belts, and so their pants just naturally sagged. And also the boots that you see in the hip-hop videos. Those boots, where they gave them construction boots primarily in prisons, it's because those shoes or those boots would long lasting. They wouldn't wear out so soon. But I would also have to say that much of what we learn is not in the classroom, it's outside the classroom. You came to college for the development of the whole person. And there are so many functions that will occur throughout your campus career that will require you to dress, and then sometimes to dress as you are now and look like typical college students. But if you don't take the time to not only enhance your dress skills, I guarantee you that by the time you graduate in 4 or 5 years, you will be ill prepared to keep up with the people out there in the global world in which you're now a part of. So now's the time to practice, because people do judge a book by its cover, regardless of what anybody says. If you want, as you young people say, you want respect, you don't want anybody dissing you. Well, if you want to be taken seriously, then look the part. No matter what you plan to do in the future, even as a college student, if you want to be taken seriously in the classroom, then look like a serious student, articulate those perspectives that a student is expected, and work on your communication skills as well as you work on your dress skills. Because if you don't, you won't be prepared in 4 or 5 years, and you'll be angry as you know what, because people will not give you the respect that you want, because they're going to judge you based on how you look.
I realized the importance of dress when I moved here to come to college. The deacons at our church, they would always stress that you need to get a suit and you need to put on a tie. And I used to wonder why. But yesterday I was watching TV, and Master P said on television, when he was talking to the goons on this TV show, he said that you don't want corporate America to be afraid of you, and your image and the dress that the things that you wear and the things that you have in your mouth, grills and things, that makes people afraid of you, or corporate America afraid of you. And so certainly, and that was in sense what they were trying to teach me when I first came here, that you have to look the part, because you may have something to say, you may have the brightest idea, but people can be turned off simply by the appearance. I tell people use this analogy that Bill Cosby used on the Cosby Show. He said, you can get you a steak and some potatoes with all the nice fixing, and it can be great, but the presentation of it can turn somebody off from even wanting to even eat this good meal and this great meal that you prepared, simply because of the presentation. So that's why when I come out of my room and I present myself to Grambling State University every morning, I have to have on a shirt, and I have to have on pants, and I have to have on a belt, and I have to have on shoes. I hardly even wear sweatpants anymore, simply because the way that I want to present myself, I don't want that to hinder anybody from hearing the message that I have, or the ideas that I have within me, that I think can help be life-changing. So certainly my appearance, I did have to learn that, and I'm glad I learned it, because I even feel better. I even get a sense of confidence, and I feel more like a man of distinction. Even when I'm among administrators on campus and other preachers and doctors and people with advanced degrees, I feel like they are, and I aspire to be a PhD like Dr. McKinley, but it gives me a sense of confidence on the inside just by even dressing and looking the part. Makes me encouraged and gives me inspiration to keep on going.
You guys mentioned about treating young black women with respect. So a lot of women have issues with the way that young men approach them, and maybe some of the stigmas they might have about them and the things they say to them. So if you guys can give them maybe some advice on how to approach a woman, when to recognize a woman, because I must say not all women present themselves as women, but when to show them respect when you do see a respectable young lady.
Our black women project themselves mostly in a very positive way. And I think that we should uphold them, and those who are not projecting themselves in a positive way, we should kind of pull them aside and explain to them, hey, I look to you as the queen. I look to you as the mother. I look to you as my sister. So we need you to project the image and support me as a black male in our quest to be better as human beings. So when you're out there, when you hear or you see a guy disrespecting a young lady, if you know that person, pull them to the side and say, hey, that's not right. Or if you hear a young lady disrespecting herself or disrespecting another young lady, you should tell them, hey, that's not right. And that way we can go about projecting a positive image, like the panelists said thus far. It's about what you project that people see, okay?